said, Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn.
Oh, and we're live. Hello, welcome to Jabber Jawn. My name is Nathan Moore. This is Kyle Hogg, Steve Moore, Jabber Jawn at your service. Welcome to the show. Good to see everybody. I see Saul's watching. Where are you in the world, Saul? Or if you're still with us. And it made me question whether or not how time zones work longitudinally. Is it all the way down?
Well, it goes like that. It's got wide in the middle, like Americans. You start out with a little head and you get real big right around here, and then it goes back down to your feet.
But so the time zone on the East Coast is the same all the way to the South Pole.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think that's just my understanding, but I have some global issues.
Right. Some global issues.
Yeah, I have global issues.
So this is your new look, huh?
I am sporting my new look. I got it's not just the, I trimmed my beard. Did you notice that?
Did not notice that, but now that you mention it, yeah.
I tried all those little hairs were sticking everywhere. They're all even now.
Tightened it
The
up.
ones I can't see or that wouldn't cut.
Did you do it yourself?
I did it all by myself.
Oh, wow, with scissors.
But this all started with my son Joe coming by and bringing me some new clothes because he was embarrassed last time he saw me in public.
Oh, really?
Well,
Did he tell you that?
No.
All right, you could
He's
just
a nice
discerned.
Yeah, I just figured it out because I saw the picture, and yeah, I do look like a fat old man. I had so he wanted me to be able to tuck in my shirt, and he's got me these form-fitting pants. I don't know how he figured that out.
Right, they
And,
really fit your form.
Yeah, they really do. I'm thinking early Audrey Hepburn size right now. But that's the pants, and then I got a shirt with it's actually got a collar and everything.
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's even for old people. It's got the two pockets, and you don't have to button.
Are they snaps or buttons?
Snaps.
Snaps.
I was
So this
You
is,
know the move.
I haven't been in a store to buy stuff in a long time, and Joe knew that, and he fixed me up. So I said, well, if he's going to do that and fix me up, I might as well trim my beard. And now this thing, I'm not sure about. I was just trying to get a different look for fun, but I did want to appeal to y'all and everybody out there and find out what people think of the patch thing. I'll just start it off with saying, I am blind in that eye.
In that eye.
And that eye is bulging a little bit. And I was thinking when I was looking in the mirror, when I was shaving, I started looking, and I'm not sure I want that eye looking at somebody else.
Right.
Because I can't trust it.
Right.
And it's main.
You have a wandering eye that you know nothing about.
I don't
where
know
it's wandering
exactly.
to.
And generally it goes, which is good, or I'd have to, because people wear the patch because there's something wrong with the eye, not because you're blind. If you're totally blind, you don't wear two patches. I mean, just
Right.
that'd be silly.
Right.
I'm having trouble with him tonight.
Well, already.
Yeah.
What kind of trouble
Well,
are
he
you
keeps
having with Kyle?
giggling. He's doing an awful lot of giggling tonight. But maybe you're
Is your
through.
gummy kicking in?
But I do have a serious question. Is there a rule, or what is it for one pocket or two pockets? Is that
Almost
casual?
all shirts are one pocket. You don't get to the two pocket till you go west, and then they bring it back.
Does
but-
your shirt have pockets?
Not at all.
Yeah. But I won't wear a shirt without a pocket because I got my pens and my phone. I just have stuff I need to, mainly my pen and my reading glasses. So that's why I like two pockets, one for pens and one for reading glasses. pull them out. But I love having 2 pockets. So happy.
What do you got? One pocket.
Yeah, with a shirt like this, I thought there'd be 2, but
No, they're all the old, that's the normal ones have 1 pocket. 2 pockets are rare.
but you see like the old Steve Canyon novel, comics. Doesn't he have 2 pockets? Steve Canyon. Steve Canyon.
Canyon?
Park Ranger. Whatever.
Park Ranger.
And that who it was?
No, Steve Canyon was an Air Force pilot.
How do you?
There was a cartoon Steve Canyon.
Oh, there was.
Well, I thought he was a 4th. Well, who was the guy that was fighting fires? They had like a double pockets.
Well, yeah, that's called a Ranger outfit.
That's a uniform.
It's called a uniform, and most of them had 2 pockets. Most of the police that I've met have 2 pockets.
Right.
Oh God.
Steve Canyon.
Steve
You
Canyon.
remember when did you ever get the Sunday paper back when you were, or not get it yourself,
Oh, yeah.
but it was around?
Mark Trail
Mark Trail, that's
Mark
it.
Trail.
was the
Yeah,
first.
I
That
have
was
vague
a-
memories of that.
He was on for years, and he never did anything. You just read, and then nothing would happen. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Now, Steve Canyon, he would do some stuff. The plane would crash, and
What comic strip was he in?
I don't know.
I think it was just called Steve Canyon.
I think it was Steve Canyon, and I think he was an Air Force
PT
pilot.
for
But
You know
I-
where my brain just went as soon as you were like, "Did you get the Sunday morning and comics, or whatever?" And my brain said, "Well, yes, of course we got that," and that's what I used my silly putty on. Remember taking your silly putty
gosh.
and pressing it into the comic, and you pull it up, and the perfect image of the comic
Of
was
Steve
in the
Canyon.
silly putty.
Now, as a chemist, how do you explain that?
What?
How
Well, it's
how can you
sticky,
just
and
print
the
it?
ink lifts off the page, and actually, it's actual ink from the page sticking to the
Oh,
silly
you're a
putty.
chemist. I didn't even know.
Well, I did some research on that. When I was 9.
That wasn't. that
It's the
is
sticky
amazing.
stuff you feel under the table at a restaurant.
Right.
They used to come and scrape all that off.
Yeah. Poor kids today, they still got silly putty, but they don't have the paper to pull the comics out of.
God, some people came and cut out a little comic strip nail and tape it like a.
I mean, I guess you still
inspiration.
can. You still get the paper, right?
Yes,
And it has a comic section, right?
it does.
Right.
They've made some changes, but there's still a lot of the old. They got like the old classic
Is Family
Peanuts.
Circus still in there?
Family Circus is still down in the
Who-
bottom.
How does that happen? That person can't be still alive.
I
are
don't
they?
know. I think it is. I think he is. But he probably never did them in the first place.
Right. Right.
Probably had 6 guys in a
What
room that
was his
just came
name?
back from
Kirk-
being on strike.
Crockett, or what was his name? Oh, who does Family Circus?
Josh. I kept wanting to make that a similar joke. As soon as they started saying that, I was like, well, is it one pocket or who killed Tupac? I know. I didn't know.
Oh,
I didn't
my God.
know where to go with it.
Well,
But great minds think alike. We were on the
thank
same
you,
page
Josh.
there.
We needed that.
Tupac for sure. He says, "Good to see everybody." Hey, Heather. Hey, John.
Hey,
J.
Heather.
Dodd. Welcome to the
Hey,
show.
J. Dodd. Oh, that's good. He hadn't been around for a while. Good to see him.
Yeah, it's always good to see him.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Well, it has been a pretty profound week here.
Tell us about it.
Our
Well, not all of it.
right,
Just
our,
one
our
part.
neighbor passed away.
Oh,
Edwin.
What?
Yeah,
I hadn't heard that.
beautiful man, great neighbor, and it was yeah. And he came home on Sunday for hospice because he was just that close. So they brought him home, and because of my sleep schedule, I ended up doing the night shift over there.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
I was sitting with him while the family was getting some sleep, and it was profoundly sad, but it was also profoundly inspiring and beautiful, and the bonding that happened over there with the family. And I just feel really, I don't know, I feel everything. I just feel everything.
My
And,
goodness. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that for
yeah,
that
he was
family.
he
Good
was a
man.
wonderful neighbor.
Good man.
I will
Yeah.
always
He
cherish
had
and
a good
forever
heart.
miss
Had a
our
good-
banter.
Yeah. He
We
was
we both
a very wise man.
we both we both took an unusual pride in our repartee, and we just loved bantering back and forth. And it didn't really matter what we were talking about, just the way we punctuated and turned phrases. We like tennis pros, just volleying back and forth, not trying to win a point because that would end the game. You just wanted to keep it volleying.
Wow, that's
Keep it
well
moving.
said. Well said.
And
That's a wonderful tribute.
he was a really, really remarkable man. And that was a word that I was trying to write something about him, and that word kept coming up a lot because he found life and people really remarkable, and that's what he did. He remarked on, and he would really go out of his way to let people, to share with people the remarkable qualities that he saw in them, which is an amazing gift. I mean, he would go out of his way. I remember one time I was having this big debate with somebody on Facebook, and he like stopped traffic to roll down his window and was like, I was reading what you were right. He's like, you're doing God's work. You're doing God's work. Brilliant. I can't. Lex apparently does a pretty good Edwin impression, which I'm going to need him to do as often as possible, because he also is Irish and had this lilting, unique quality to his voice that was really, you could just listen to forever. And it just made you smile just hearing the timbre of his voice.
Well, that is profound.
But ultimately, even though, you know, it was so profoundly sad, it was also really inspiring and life affirming, and the bonding with the community. I haven't felt that kind of intense bond with the community, and like just on that level, it was just really
It
moved
doesn't
me.
come along too often.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something to be taken from that. And it's a changing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good on you.
It like sidebar. I've always told the neighbors, like, look, I'm the night watchman. My schedule, I go to sleep with the sun. I've always been that way. I want y'all to sleep easier because of it. You know, unless I'm playing drums or something at 4 a.m. I know that's a little bit annoying, but beyond that, I want you to take solace and to be able, for that to be meaningful was felt really good to me, because I was really there for it, and they needed that rest, and
well, that you were there for that is very, very good tribute to the whole thing.
I felt.
But you know, my reaction, one of the reactions I have in listening to you is that there is definitely a little bit of the life force called Edwin in you now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what you were just saying.
Yep, 100%.
And I do believe in that type of thing, how we share our lives when we do share them, that we become part of each other and increase, and then you pass it on and we pass it on, and in that way he's not gone completely.
Mm-hmm.
He's over there with his family right now.
He's everywhere now.
He's over there. But you, by offering yourself up to him, took some of that with you too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason you feel a little lighter.
Mm-hmm. Why the lightness?
Well, he doesn't weigh anything. he's just a part of your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, the more people that we have in our ball of energy that is us, the more people we have in there with us, the lighter we become. until we float away
Yeah.
or roll down the hill. It's called evolution. Well, let's talk about Kyle's hair. I think that's I think that's
It's
been
a pretty remarkable
probably
thing.
the first thing noticed by people
Chia.
tuning in.
Sorry.
I was quite amazed. I thought it'd be 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that
Before
is
we-
all. It's like if we had time lapse, we'd see it just growing. It's just like in real time. The thing is a remarkable amount of. He was bald, clean shaven. Just what, last week or
I
something?
think was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't remember.
Oh, I thought it was last week. Well, 2 weeks is okay. That's about right. I don't know.
Neither one of y'all has seen The Haunting in Venice, have you?
The Haunting in Venice.
Down showing at the movies downtown.
Oh,
the
it's
visual
a
light?
new movie.
Yeah, it's like those Agatha Christie stories.
In the theater. You went to
Yeah.
the theater.
It was mind-blowingly beautiful.
Really?
It's Agatha Christie stories. So there's, it's like watching an old movie. It's just witty dialogue and costumes, and the camera angles and the colors are just totally.
That's
amazing.
interesting.
Yeah, I took my mom down there. We went and saw it.
Was it a good?
Oh.
How many people were there?
Like 8 of us.
Oh,
But I didn't know this, but on Wednesdays, and I think this is wonderful for the VSDB being here and stuff. On Wednesdays at the Visual Light, all the movies have the words up there.
All right, for the hearing
Yeah,
impaired.
I thought that was I mean, it should have been done forever, but it was just weird. I mean, I'd never seen it before. I was like, man, way to go, Stan, stepping up.
That's the night I need to go to the movies then, because I don't think I can watch a movie anymore without the subtitles.
Right.
I'd always have them on the
Right.
TV.
But the funny part is how they would describe the music. It'd be like mysterious music, enchanting music, and like you'd be listening to it, it's like that's not really what I would call this.
Right.
But
I
it
learned,
was just
I
it
learned
was just-
so much from the subtitles being on, especially those
yeah,
little parenthetical things. The name of the title, the artist, like the song. This song starts playing. I'm like, oh, and then it's like karaoke. If there's like a song in the background, it's putting the words up there for you. That's why I learned Neutron Dance, Beverly Hills Cop. I feel like movies today have gotten way worse in terms of the audio. I don't. It's like I can't tell if it's my ears are going bad or if the movies are doing a worse job at enunciating and having the audio clear. Like I feel like it's a combination of both. But I most shows or movies these days, if I don't have the subtitles on, I'm just completely lost.
It was weird reading the subtitles because I think they were like in France, or they're speaking in English, but just the English way of saying words that so I'm reading it and I'm hearing it in my brain exactly how I can't even think of an example now, but like I would read it and then he would say it in a totally different way, and it was like, wait a minute, did he get it right? Am I reading something wrong? Mm-hmm. But it was just, oh my God, the movie was just so, from the opening to the bottom was like a painting, but not like special effects and stuff, just like really like an Orson Welles or, somebody that really knew how to use the camera and stuff, and just colors.
wow.
It was so good.
It was a good movie too. Like
Well, it's like one of those Agatha Christie's. You can really, no matter how many times you read it, you can't figure out who did it because she just ties it all up at the end, just mysteriously in the last 20 pages. So it was very good, but like you weren't on the edge of your seat. It was almost like an Alfred Hitchcock
did you think
movie
you
or
know who did
something.
it?
No, I had no clue. But there are a lot of loud noises and going down scary hallways and that type of stuff. But with
Jump scares.
scary hallways that are like just deep purple color with like a blue light at the end. Just like really. Or the guy will be walking across the room, the camera, instead of going with him this way, like rolls with him, so he's just like going in a circle down the hallway. A lot of stuff like that, which was just, not special effects and Marvel heroes. So I thought it was really good.
Great.
I watched a superhero movie last night and I thought it was terrible. Flash. You seen that one, Lex?
I watched Cuck on Earth.
Kunk.
Yeah.
Cuck is a whole nother. Yeah, X-Nay, a whole different movie entirely.
Well, how do you know what I want?
It's true. Oh, if you like that. Do you know what a cuck is?
Oh, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Cuck.
I can't see.
You
I
said
can't,
it.
I
I'm
can't
repeating
see.
what
Come
you
on,
said.
let's go to
We're on the
Where's the
damn. We're on the subtitle.
Lex, play some Hendrix or something real loud. The train's coming.
Is it supposed to be cuck?
No, it's Kunk.
Kunk. And
with
what
an
did I
N.
say?
Cuck.
Well, we're getting close to what I watch, because that was something, I'll tell you. I ain't never seen anything like it.
Stop! Come on, let's go to something else.
Do you know what a cuck is?
What is a cuck?
Come on, let's go.
No, we don't need to.
Talk about something else.
It's not that bad.
It's nothing bad. No, it's nothing bad. I'm just.
It's just it's a genre of pornography, of like a husband watching his wife with another man.
Really?
He's the cuck.
But that was the
but
girl's.
you hear it in
That was the
politics all the
girl's
time.
yeah,
name.
like a
It's like
cuckold.
A cuckold.
Yeah, it's like
It's short for cuckold.
Yeah.
So that girl is not cuck.
No, the guy sitting in the corner watching his woman with another man.
Yeah, right. But I'm not talking about that. I'm
Right.
talking about the show I watched. last
Right,
night.
right. Yeah, well,
She's not a kunk.
she's Kunk.
She's kunk.
Yeah, but not
She's not a
cuck.
kunk. Cuck.
Right.
Come
not
on, y'all gonna slip up.
You
Y'all
know,
getting
we
close
can
to
go right
time.
back to last week's show. 'Cause we're not that far away from a
Refreshment,
duck.
everyone get a
We are
refreshment.
very
Take two.
close.
All right, let's start over. Take two. I actually have one of those slap boards somewhere around here. All right, take two. Kunk on Earth. Take two.
Popcorn and
I think that is one of the funnier shows.
It is so funny.
I
She
had
is-
a great observation though, because I did something I don't think you should do. I binged them. And in the process, by the fourth one, the jokes started to sound all the same. It was the same humor,
right,
just put in a different context, but it was the same joke
right.
over and over
And she's
again.
just riffing.
And
apparently, not very much of that was written at all. She was just riffing.
it was
Like,
it was wonderful. Fun. I mean, it had me laughing out loud every
Right.
time, but each time, the first two I laughed. Maybe it was just the material was better, but the last two I thought, or maybe they just got tired at the end. They wanted to go
Or you
home.
did.
Or I got
Right.
exactly.
so hard to know.
Hard to know.
Which is which.
And the reason I thought of that just now is because y'all were talking about subtitles. And the thing on hers is I don't hear very well either, so I'm reading the subtitles, which are hard because I don't see very well either. But I can see these, and I'm reading them. And but with her and her humor, I keep thinking they misspelled it, like when you do a translation to Korean and they miss the word
Right.
completely. Well, I keep thinking that the person that's doing the sound bites not hearing it right and they're doing some stupid word. Then I realized that's the word she really said, and it gives it a whole different meaning, and she was being funny.
Right. right.
But I had to have the subtitles to know that was going on.
Right. Right.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, sure did.
All right, I'm tired.
y'all cucked out.
I'm tuckered out. Hell,
It is. Have you seen these? Do you know what he's talking about? Kunk on
Yeah, oh
Earth?
yeah, that's hilarious.
So
oh yeah,
funny.
I didn't ask. I was going to ask if you'd seen it, because it's got that same type of
she's-
humor, that
She's great.
absurdity. Is what I think is where we go sometimes.
Yeah.
But is that stuff
And she
real?
has a great
you think
delivery too.
Do those people really not know that she's pulling their leg?
Oh, they know.
So they're just
It's sort of like the old Daily Show, where you know you're on the
Right.
Daily Show, but
Okay.
still like.
Oh yeah, they definitely.
But
did.
they're playing, you know.
Oh,
but
I
the-
thought it was supposed to be real. And I was
No,
like, wait a minute.
they were playing a role. I mean, they were real, but they were playing with her. They were
It must have been so
They were
fun
just
for her.
asking. There were some great. Some of the scientists did great jobs.
Right.
They were funny.
Right.
They were great. That was fun.
Yeah, they all had to play the straight man.
Yeah.
It was it was so fun.
They did a good job. That was fun.
You know, another hot tip for funny stuff on Netflix is the new Michelle Wolf comedy series that just got released. Is hysterical.
Michelle
I found
Wolf. What's the name of it?
It's Good to Be Here, I think. Michelle Wolf, Good to Be Here. It's three episodes. Each are only like 20 minutes long. So it's a nice little dose of comedy. And I feel
It's like stand-up or situation?
stand-up comedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
I'll go home and watch
I've always
that
thought
after
she
the
was
football
funny, but
game.
she's just getting funnier and funnier. She's really coming into
What's her name
own.
again?
Michelle Wolf.
Michelle Wolf.
She got really famous for being the comedian at one of the thing where it's like the press thing
roast
where
thing.
the president's there. What's that called? It's like a presidential
roast or
press
something.
dinner.
Press
Internet,
Yeah, where they roast. They sort of
Yeah.
Oh,
the one
yeah.
Trump didn't go to.
Okay.
Yeah, the International Writers Press or something. Yeah, something like that.
Right. International press. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she did one there. I forget who was. I don't know if it was Trump or somebody else. Might have been Trump. He didn't go. Trump was the first president not to attend it. And an interesting history was also like there's this famous footage of Obama at one of those making fun of Trump when he was in the audience. That a lot of documentaries present as like the moment it solidified in Trump's mind that he had to do this. So there's an interesting history there. But back to funnier things. Michelle Wolf's comedy series on Netflix, highly recommended. Good to Be Here. I think it's very, very funny. She's
Alrighty.
Once again, popcorn 25 cents in this outer wall. What is that called? The
Did you get
lobby.
popcorn last night?
You know, I wanted some, but I did. It was so sweet. My mom hadn't been to the movies for quite a while, I guess. So we go, you know, I don't know if you've been to the movies, like tickets, I don't even know how much they are, you know, $14 or something.
Right.
So we go in, my mom goes, oh, don't worry, I got it. And she's holding a 20. I'm like, she's got two 20s there or not? And they told her the price, and she's like, oh, and I said, why don't we just both pay our own way? I was like a kid. I just tell her, get some more money out. You know, you're paying for it. You need to. But she was very impressed for the Visualite. You know, we actually sat in the room that you played in. You know.
Oh yeah.
So
Seats are comfy.
Oh my God, really nice.
They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that theater.
Yeah. I'm
What
glad-
else was playing there? Do you remember? Is Barbie still there?
No. What?
I missed it.
Something else? You don't like when
We missed it. We were supposed to go to the Barbie together.
you know when you go to the movies and there'll be like if you went tonight, it'd be like, you know, this movie you really want to see, and it'd be like, you know, July of 2024. You just totally forget about it.
Right.
And that used to always drive me crazy. Like, show me something I'm not going to forget about. But the Visualite shows movies for the ones that are coming the next week, which I think is really cool too. So like, if you just go to the movies, you know what's coming up next week, which just seems like a very
Right.
smart move.
Makes sense.
You know what we should do is they also have some local ads
Oh, yeah,
at the
they-
beginning of their movies while people are waiting for the movies to start. Up on the screen is local ads.
Yeah, they had
we
the
should
sign.
put a Jabberjohn
They had a
ad.
sign up there that they were looking for. They had space to sell.
Yeah, they got space to sell. We should put a Jabberjohn ad on the movie screen at the
Which
Visualite.
means we need a logo.
Right.
I'm working on it.
I wonder if they just play our frogs.
They probably would.
We do need a logo. You could draw a logo.
I can do it. What I've done is my groundwork is that I sent a letter to my grandgirls and
Yeah,
I gave them the assignment of drawing us 3 frogs. So I gave them some limited instructions. If we had a blackboard here, I could show you how to draw a frog. I could have.
Oh, you taught them how to draw a frog?
Well, I showed the steps that it takes. They're real simple, and I want to see what they produce.
Right.
And
Oh, I
if
can't
they
wait.
produce,
I want all their rejects too.
yeah,
I want all of
I'm going
them,
to have a
all
wall
the
of frogs.
Right.
And I'm going to take frogs from other people too. Elliot.
Send us your frogs out there, folks.
Yeah.
Jabber John Frog Contest.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I believe in that. I believe that there's a prize to win it.
We're always talking about these prizes.
Well, the prize is Kyle takes $20 to the flea market and finds them something.
Oh my God!
Nobody believes we're giving prizes. So if you are one of the prize winners, please write in and tell them how much you enjoyed what you received.
So one of the viewers was requesting for you to bring in an issue of bold print.
Yep.
Your old zine.
Yeah.
When did you do that zine in particular, and for how long did you do it? When was that? Where were
God,
you in
like-
life when it
from like-
started, and where were you in life when it ended?
Oh my gosh. It started. I think it was like I think it was 82.
82.
Before you start, I heard you got 3 to 5. How long did you spend in jail? Was it 3 or 5 or somewhere in
Luckily,
between?
with the help of some good individuals in Stanton, I didn't even have to go.
That clears that up. I went low. I bet the low. All right, I'm through.
I don't know if you're referring to something that I almost did get sued for. If you're being funny.
I was just making fun of 3 to 5.
You almost got sued?
Yeah, because as much as I love, doing the magazine or doing the little zine thing, I wasn't one to go out and drum up any business. I was like, oh, just take them in some way you can get. And so somebody sold one to some person whose parents didn't approve of it. So I got a phone call one day in the summertime that the
So you gave them to people free, and they would go out and sell them?
right then I didn't even. They would just come back and say, "Here's some money," and give it to me. But so this guy was going to sue me for pornography because it had some cuss words or something in it, and it had been sold to like a young person. But I didn't know till the ACLU called me and said, "We'll represent you for."
Really?
It's like that's how I found out about it. I didn't even know that it happened. So somebody in Stanton, God, I wish I could remember his name. It might have been a teacher. He called ACLU and said he had heard, I was getting sued for this stuff. 'Cause I had to stop doing the magazine for a little while because my parents said if they come after you, they'll come after us, because whatever. God, now I'm lost track of what I'm talking about.
Well, that's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
Whatever happened with that? We'll get you back on track.
Oh my God! It was
So the ACLU calls
Oh yeah, so the
you.
ACLU calls and they're not gonna. They will defend you and all this stuff. So the guy had some discussions with my parents and they went off and did their own thing. But about the zines, somebody did want to see a copy of it, and I know in the general area they're in. And I meant to bring them, and of course I forgot. And I'm sure you have stuff like this too. Like fans will just make stuff for you and send you stuff. And I found this box of like T-shirts that people had made, and like sent me T-shirts, but like all like hand drawn, like on a white T-shirt with like a magic marker or something.
Wow.
And I was laughing
Bold
so
print
hard.
shirts?
Yeah. And
The zine was called Bold Print.
Yeah. And just people would just send you. I think a lot of people are just creative, but they just don't have a community or friends or nobody supports them. They just want to get this stuff out. You get the beautiful paintings and just send you stuff. But I was going to bring in and show some of the T-shirts, but I forgot about it. But my favorite one, it's just like a magic marker drawing of a woman laying and a guy's laying on top of her. She's like looking to the side like they're making out or making love or something. And she's got like the thoughts of her head. I could be reading Bold Print right now.
I could be reading Bold Print.
I saw that. I busted out.
That's funny.
So you do have a box of old copies somewhere?
Yeah, I should probably get them somewhere where they're safe.
We should
but,
digitize them.
oh,
Make a
no.
website.
Oh,
I could do that. I know. I got the technology. I know how. Make PDFs out of each one of them. Have them viewable on a website.
God, you make my. Sometimes I come over here, you give me the chills.
Let's just do this. Now that's a no-brainer. We should definitely make that happen.
There'd be some classic things in there.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta call
100%.
I gotta call my lawyer 1 second.
Am I going to get a call from the ACLU?
I think the only place that has the whole University of North Carolina, for some reason, found out about it, and so they like sent me like $20 or something for all that I had, and then each issue that would come out, I would send it to them, and then
This was back when you were doing it?
yeah, this is this is like 1980. I started in '82, and I moved to Richmond in '80. So like in '85, UNC wrote to me and said we have like a independent publishing section in the library. Can you send us all the copies you have and a copy of each one after that? And so just randomly I'd send them to them. They'd always, how much do we owe you? And I was just so happy that they had it. I didn't charge them any money for it. No, just please keep accepting them. But then I was like wondering, like, what do they do with it? So we went to see a UNC basketball game, and we went to the library there, and I said, do you have like a section of like independent publishers and stuff? They're like, yeah. What are you looking for? And I said, I'm sure it's not in here, bold print. And the guy goes, looks it up. He comes back with a piece of paper. Yeah, it's 8 whatever. And they had taken them all and put them into like hardbound books.
Wow.
Wow.
It was so it's not just a bunch of stapled paper flopping around. And it was like just holding out. It's like, oh.
How about that? You felt the compendium of your work
Wow.
And
at a prestigious library.
it was
so cool.
The horriblest thing was when I opened the book. I think it was me, my brother, my wife, my parents. I opened the book, and it's probably like 300 pages long. And I opened it up. It's a drawing of a nude man I'd done, like a real 30-second drawing, like just real quick. And my mom looked and said, "Is that you?" And I was like, "Yep."
That is so cool.
That's funny.
I was like, of all the choices, the page I could open up to.
So what percentage of the entire body of work do you still have a copy of? Do you know?
Of anything that I published myself, I think I
Of the
have all
bold print.
of them. Yeah, I
You
think
have
I
all of them?
I think so.
Awesome. Well, let's digitize this collection.
Definitely.
It sounds like a Philip K. Dick something or another. Like you're gonna put it on my neck or something. People can look at me, scan me.
Well, yeah. Absolutely. Very cool.
All right, so I have
All
to
right,
go.
so wait, the last part of the question was, when did you stop doing it? From 82 to...
82 to we moved to New Jersey, so maybe like 2005. And it's very
2005?
very slow at the end. Like if I could get one.
That's a
out
long run.
If I could get like one out of you,
So all through the 90s as well.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
For
And this is all in Richmond.
Yeah. So for our wedding present, my parents gave us a copier machine because it was just a Xerox.
Oh, you had a Xerox machine? Man.
Yeah, it was very fun. But the last one I was working on is just like uncompleted. A bunch of my friends like, oh God, you got to put out one more. But it's like and this is back, man. I was like this is back when if you wanted a picture somewhere, you had to like glue it and like set it down on the page. There was no technology or anything. So I have one that's like 2/3 of an issue. I was like, man, I should find that.
Did you have like a P.O. box or an address in the magazine and encourage people to send you stuff for it, or was it all you, or was it
Oh no, like when I was in Richmond and stuff, it was mostly mail and stuff.
mostly? But was all the writing in it you?
Oh no, it was never all been me. It's always been just
So
mail from all over the place.
People would mail you stuff, and
Yeah.
you would assemble it and put it
Right.
in the.
How about your friends? Did some of them contribute?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends that did it. When I first started, Brian Demery did all the artwork for it. He's like, "Oh my God, don't ever let me see that artwork. It's terrible." I'm like, no, it's good. And it took off somehow.
You never
Something
made
to do.
money from it. You never sold them.
Enough to pay the. Well, I don't know. Because, like I said, it was Xerox. You'd go to some Kinko's or something.
Kinko's.
Yeah, how much would you charge? And people would send checks every once in a while. Then, once in a while, you just get some, angel. They would just send you a check for $200. And just be like, oh my God, now make some more.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And a lot of that stuff was, I'm sure you probably know, was trade. Send me one of yours, and I'll send you one of mine. So, I mean, I have boxes and boxes of zines, like a museum, but you can't eat and live off that. I have everybody else's zine too. Yeah, that was the good old days. Yeah, my friend at New Jersey that sent those little, you remember the little history of New Jersey ones? She keeps having zine festivals and the best of zine awards and stuff, like all kinds of cool stuff going on.
For those that didn't watch the early days of Jabberjawn, when I first met Kyle, was here on the first episode of Jabberjawn. It was the first time we met. Dad met him because they lived next to each other in town here, neighbor. And I didn't know Kyle, but I did know Bold Print. And when he told me that he started that, I was just a wide-eyed fan because it was such a cool thing when I was in high school and I discovered Bold Print. It was very inspiring to me just knowing that there were people making stuff like this, and I loved reading it, and just the idea that there were people making this, and I had a copy of it. Was, as a young little artist myself, wanting to be a creative spirit, it was very inspiring to me. So I was a little awestruck
It's a
to
good
find out.
story to exemplify how you never know how you're touching someone.
It's so true.
When you were doing that, you had no idea the effect
There's
you were
probably
having.
thousands of me in the world that would be like, oh my gosh, you
Yeah.
did Bold Print? That was you? Wow. That's so neat. I had no idea you had such a run from 82 to
Yeah,
2005.
that's a long time.
Yeah.
That's 23 years,
Yeah.
right? Am I doing the math right? That's impressive. Hey, Beans. Good to see you.
Actually, we brought this up last week, but I didn't even connect it. One of the last Bold Print things I got before people were still sending stuff in. They didn't know I'd closed down. And one of the last ones I got before I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Was that stupid guy that said he killed Harry Chapin with his mind?
Oh.
I always
What?
remember that. Like that was the
He was
last.
talking last week about the guy that he met that said he killed Harry Chapin with his mind.
Oh, he sent you something?
And I remember that was the last thing that I just read and said, all right, I've just reached the end.
Getting too weird out here.
I'm out. You probably quit at a good time. Who knows what it would be like these days.
Oh, I know.
Holy moly.
I do regret my ignorance on computers and looking up stuff because there's so many online zines and cool writing art magazines now.
Yeah, it's surprising you never went the digital route just to
know.
start a website, a blog.
Yeah, my
It seems
friend-
like you're a blogging. It's like a match made in heaven or whatever.
Right.
And especially in 2005, it probably would have been the perfect
Yeah.
time to jump into it.
Yeah, like my friends always be like, I wrote a new story. I'm like, oh, where do I see it? Oh, you got to go to this website and look at it. I'm like, oh, so I miss out on that.
Let me read you guys something real quick that I saw. Someone posted this on Facebook a couple of days ago. It sort of ties in with the conversation in a couple of different ways. I just want to know y'all's thoughts on this. He says, I miss the vitality of this town as of late. I wonder if any others notice the weight and somberness that has replaced that distinctly infinite impossibility feeling it had when the downtown streets felt like my sacred home away from home. I know there are young things like I was then, having fun on those streets still, buying coffee and niche novelty items with allowance and wandering for the sake of it only. But I tend to feel it was never done with more heart and fervor than it was by me and my old friends. There will only ever be one season of downtown that was ours then, and isn't that rather awesome to think about? Having one's own piece of a place and time forever. The Stanton I'll hold fast to in memoriam, even when it changes so much it can't be recognized. I just want to own the night with all those I love again and make those bar rooms, cafes, and sidewalks shine like they did when it was us who stomped them. Just know I'm pouring one out for all my homies of then every morning when I drink my coffee on my porch or don't have it in me to finish a beverage that has similarly to my town lost its effervescent quality and gone too flat to be of any more meaningful use than to commemorate better days, more love, and less tears. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I understand where he's coming from. I see that, but I also see the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I say he's right and he's wrong. And it's just, to me, I see two things he's talking about. The one that he hadn't mentioned is the fact he's talking about life was better when I was 25 than it is when I'm 75.
Right.
Everybody's going to have that feeling, unless they were in a war camp or something, unless they had a horrible youth. But most of us, remember back to, I know some friends that loved who they were in high school, so they stay there in some way or another. Mm-hmm. And some it's college, and some it's the Army, and there's a time in your life when you're most yourself, and you look back on that time. It might be when you were in elementary school, when you were the best athlete on the playground for 2 years. Right. That might have been the best it got. Mm-hmm. But that's what he's remembering there. At the same time, I also see what he's seeing about us becoming a larger community, more interested in preserving and bringing people in and making money than we are about caring about each other. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to see that erosion, which is typical everywhere, that is surviving. Now, some places don't have it because they're dying. Some little towns aren't going to make it.
Right, it's the other side.
Stanton's going to be a boom town, and that's part of it. The thing you have to do is remember that what made for him that time special were the people around him. And that's still true today. Mm-hmm. And you got to find those people around you. And some of them aren't going to be, they're going to be in a group that you don't necessarily get along with. But they're okay. In other words, I think one thing we're seeing is that there are going to be more tribes because there's more people and there are more different ways to look at things. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it too. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does feel like you're disassociated from each other. Right. And I think that's a feeling the country has too. Mm-hmm. We don't quite trust each other anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So that was what I heard from him.
What's your reaction to that?
I was just thinking about it. I see too, like he said, everything was better when you're a kid and stuff, but I was so proud of Stanton's Friday night. I was Cyrus or Mars had like 3 hard rock bands play. And it wasn't on the porch. They had it like the backyard, the back open. They had Chicano Boy truck and another food truck over there. So I'm walking down. The show starts at 7. I'm walking down, so there's still sort of the Harry Potter crowd and stuff. Very wholesome, very nice. I mean, I approve 100% of everything that's the Harry Potter festival. But then I go down across the parking lot, and these bands are just raging, like just raising hell, like ah! And
Chris Lockhart still got it.
Yeah, so it was like just a block and a half separation. And as the Harry Potter stuff was dying out, more people kept coming over in like Harry Potter outfits and wizard outfits, and just what's going on over here? And like little kids were coming over, like, what's this loud music? And by the last band just came out, they were, Satan's Ride to Hell, and they were just doing all this stuff. But at the end, there was like wizards on Harry Potter's backs. Like everybody was just having like the best time. It was just, I was so proud of Stanton how those two things just melded. Like, all right, this is like everything's for everybody. It happened to be a crowd at the Harry Potter thing, happened to be a crowd here, but when they got together, it was,
Exponential.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah, I was walking home, I was like, man, Stan, you did good.
That is great. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things like that happening that it's still what you make of it. I mean, he's talking about being downtown drinking and having, going bar to bar. Well, when was the last time he did that? And
Right.
And it's not going to be the same, but that's just. I know a lot of times I'll say, well, I don't think they're even doing that anymore. Well, how would I know? I haven't been down there in 3 years, so I don't know what they're doing. So,
It's also,
and if he is going to the bars still, then he has a problem.
but it is also, even though Stanton's your hometown or whatever, it depends on how much time you actually spend in the old place you used to love. When he was young, or everybody, they probably downtown more, like you said, out drinking and stuff. If he's an older guy now, of course it seems distant because he's not down there. If he would go spend, every day for the next 6 weeks like he used to, he would know people, everything. But I'm not blaming him. That's just,
No, but he
I
would
under- I
he could
understand
also
those
say, well,
feelings, too.
that's part of what I'm complaining about is that people are staying on their computers and
Right.
even when they're downtown, they're
Everybody's
looking at their phone.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
if he's talking about that, there is a disconnection.
That's there's a dysfunction there. But yeah, there's some room for criticism.
I've struggled with this dynamic quite a bit. It's almost like I was talking about with the subtitles. It's like, is my hearing failing, or are these people not enunciating?
Right.
And a lot of times it's both.
Oh yeah.
But I've struggled with this in so many different ways where you can't tell if it's just you getting older, or if like your observation is correct. Like a lot of times I'll say something, it'll be like a criticism of culture or something like that, and all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, I'm just old. Damn it. I really thought I had a point to make, but then I just realized I just sound like get off my lawn. I'm just like on my porch, just my back hurts, and but then at a certain point, like I had this realization that maybe part of the role of an elder is to complain about life not being as good as it used to be, because in some ways it's our futile, maybe not so futile sometimes, attempt to preserve some of that wisdom
Right.
of our experience, that like the things do get lost unless there's someone being like, no, this is how you're supposed to do it. When I was your age, we did it this way, and there's some wisdom in there. There's something there are gifts that can be brought in that complaint, in that in preserving that history and the wisdom of how things used to be done.
As you say that just occurs to me that that's not necessarily true historically, because I was thinking about me growing up in the late 50s and early 60s as a child. The elders weren't complaining because they just come out of World War II. So they were, you didn't hear that type of complaining. Maybe that's why people were happier walking around, and grocery stores
I don't
were
know.
amazing.
I mean, the greatest generation, weren't they always sort of complaining that kids had no idea how good they had it, that when they were their age, they were working in the factories and they were at war and they were growing and canning their food and
You're scaring me, stop.
Well,
I
that
know
happened.
what you mean, that they
yeah.
weren't complaining on something.
Well, I'm thinking probably more the 50s than the 60s. The 60s was a time of rebellion. But it was the young people doing the rebelling, not the old people. That's an interesting thing, too. It ought to be the young people rebelling.
Right. Yeah, it usually is.
We talked about this, about how things were good in the past, sort of tying this in. But we had talked about cursive writing one time, remember? And how nobody writes cursive anymore. I just read that the way it's going now, like in 50 years, kids won't be able to read the Declaration of Independence because it's written in cursive. So it'll be like looking at like a foreign language to them.
Be like hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's the natural recourse.
Crowd does not like that idea.
But when I read that, and of course that might be some,
Now, I did get
internet
some
thing.
follow-up when I asked that on Facebook about what was the policies about cursive, and most of the schools are still 3rd and 4th grade, they introduce cursive. And
Oh, wow.
remember when you were a kid, they had it all, they were all that across the top of the blackboard.
Right.
They had the way you were supposed to draw cursive. And evidently they're still teaching
Oh,
in
that's
most
good.
schools.
I think that's good. I feel like that's the kind of thing you do away with because you don't really see what good it is, but there's benefits that it was providing that you're not aware of in terms of as a child learning the language in various two different ways of learning the same letters, the same language, same way of writing, probably creates mental pathways and ways of cognitive, I don't know, understanding of language or whatever. That's probably a little hard to quantify, but is possibly very beneficial.
When did you start using all them big words?
I've been reading. Since you got me started reading. I started the Count of Monte Cristo last
Oh my
night.
gosh, we
Which
created a monster.
I'm afraid of. If I fall asleep wrong with that book, I won't wake up because that is the biggest book I've ever held in my hands.
Really? I don't think I ever read it. I should.
Question from the producer.
Question from the producer.
Do any of you write in cursive when you do? I know that Steve and Nathan do a lot of writing. Kyle, I don't know that about you, but
No
when you
cursive.
do you ever do it in cursive?
I write in my journal every day, and 90% of it's cursive.
90% of it's cursive?
Yeah, you pick it up, it's mostly cursive.
I was just thinking if
You don't have a journal in here.
it's.
Oh, here it is.
I was just thinking that if I go back and look at my letters, if you have some girl write you a love letter in nice cursive,
Might
man,
wanna
there's
read
nothing
that
better
one.
than that.
I wrote that one today.
No sense in
Yeah,
cursive.
it is definitely in cursive.
I can't read it.
Brooks Robinson was not my idol. It was more than that. So Brooks Robinson, who's that?
He was a third baseman who died at 86 yesterday.
Oh, he died yesterday.
Died yesterday at 86, and he was the third baseman for the Baltimore Orioles
Oh, wow.
in the 50s and the 60s, and 60s and 70s.
23 years. same
22
team.
years.
He
and Cal.
He was not my idol. He was more than that. He was my role model. He was arguably the greatest fielding third baseman of all time. But for me, ending up a third baseman myself, I love to watch him play the position. I identified with him because he was not blessed with immense physical tools. He was slower than me, and we both had relatively weak arms for third baseman. But his ability to field a ball and to get its hitter out was unparalleled. It was beautiful to watch his skill with the glove. All to add to that, the consistency. 22 years with the same team, always there for his teammates. 22 years on the Orioles, huh?
Yep.
Add to that, he was a class individual who lived his life accordingly. Thank you, Brooks, for being there for me. What a great tribute.
Yeah, thank you. I put that on Facebook today. Got some great reactions from some of my former players that I coached, and Dickie Bell, my center fielder, the politician.
I was going to say,
Dickie-
the name rings a bell.
Dickie
ding.
sent me a message and said I was the only third baseman he ever played with that started a third to second to first triple play.
Oh, wow.
And
That's satisfying.
that was fun to remember that, and to hear him say that. It was nice. And I gave credit because I didn't do anything but catch the ball and throw it to second. David Snyder was the key. He was like a ricochet. He had the quickest hands I've ever seen. And so he threw the guy at it first, but
So-
I did start the duck.
One question I have about that is, you commented on his glove work. What does that mean? It's
Well, he did the same thing as a kid. I was reading about him last night. He did the same thing as a kid that I did. I had a tennis ball or a golf ball, and I had the steps down the wing, and I'd throw them, and it would hit at angles because of the steps, and go off in different directions. And I would I would do that for hours. You know, I think that's how I developed my hand-eye coordination. So when I say glove work, he never missed the ball. I mean, you know, bad hops happen all the time. He always had that hand-eye that he could concentrate, and his ability visually to move his hand to wherever the ball was. He's never missed the ball.
wow.
And he was so consistent that he never made a silly mistake, like the ball getting caught, you know, when you're throwing. Your timing, his timing was impeccable too. And he had to be perfect because he didn't have a strong arm, and the ball would go like that. And you just always see this ball, like most of these third basemen are big, bulky guys and just throw darts over there. But he throws this ball, goes like, and the runner's running, and the ball always gets there. While that foot's up in the air, you can see it, and he's out every time. But he
didn't put any more on it than he had to.
He put what he had into it. He just didn't have that much. But he was just a classy guy too. Great baseball cards.
That's great.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. He and Al Kaline and Ernie Banks would probably, I'd say.
All third basemen?
No. Al Kaline was a right fielder and Ernie Banks was a shortstop.
This list is your favorite
Those
players?
probably my three favorite players of that when I was a kid, for different reasons. But they were all class individuals off the field too. Teammates, they were all good teammates. But they were special too.
Team players.
Yeah, they're all in the Hall of Fame. They were just great ball players, but they also had something else.
Now, just like the neighborhood, do you think our favorite sports stars go back to when we were younger, starting to understand the games, everything's fresh?
I'm not sure. What are we saying?
Or do you think our favorite, like, basketball or baseball players will always be someone from when we were younger?
Not necessarily. I mean, all the way through. But I think, like music, it's when your most impressive time. Right. So those baseball cards were real back then. When you get older, you don't care about baseball. Yeah, they just had more meaning, I think, back then. But, you know, in your 20s and 30s, you can develop a love for somebody's ability to play a game, too. So there's not a rule there.
I think all of my favorite sports stars from when I was, like, 19 to 30 or something. You get older, you're like, no, nobody's ever better than that. Nobody. I saw them play. Nobody's ever better than. I mean, that's the arguments you can have for the time.
Right.
Time burns up, but you know.
Well, it's kind of like those bars. If you don't watch the games now, you don't really know how good they are or who they are.
Right. Well, it's the thing like the Stanton thing. Like you just lose interest. You know.
Right. You just don't do it like before. I think that's very true.
And I'm sure a lot of them sit around and complain about the way the game's played today. Oh, yeah. They're like, that's not really baseball.
The game is still good, but the money has hurt it. But the game is still a pretty good game.
Yeah.
One of the funny things about when my dad was getting older and grouchy and, you know, everything bothered him. He watched sports, ESPN. He turned the TV on ESPN, then NCIS, whatever would come on. But he watched sports all the time. It's like like ESPN came in like I can't remember the early '80s or something. So my dad grew up with like a lot of these announcers and stuff, and he would just have a fit. He wouldn't complain about the games or the scores. He'd be like, "I know his hair's not black. I know he's dyeing that hair. That looks ridiculous." He would just like go on Al Michaels. I know Al Michaels' hair's not that dark. He'd be sitting there watching that game with him like, "Oh my God, you can't even tell what the teams are getting ready to play because he's just hollering about how dark." Oh yeah, Keith Jackson, not a speck of gray. It's like, I was like, oh my God, if you had this much passion about the game itself. But we used to kid him like, nobody wants to sit there and watch a bunch of old white-haired men talking about the game. Like they try to keep him fresh looking. I think Pat Summerall, he was always white-haired, wasn't he?
He had gray hair, yeah. Salt and pepper.
Bird. Bird is a word. Bird. Serving
There's a
bird.
time.
Just got
Bird
the cue.
time.
Just got the cue from the producer over there. He's flapping away over in his chair.
Bird
He's like
time.
3 feet off the ground over there, just trying to. Oh yeah, that's the new sign. Yeah, you can dispense with all that. You can do it all with one finger over there. Sidebar, potential segue. Do we have Orioles here?
Yes, and I should have done the Baltimore.
Oh, it's actually the bird is called Baltimore Oriole as well.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Really?
I thought it was just an Oriole in Baltimore. it was
No,
like
it
the
is-
St.
that's-
Louis Cardinals.
It's named after Lord Baltimore,
Lord, oh my goodness.
just like Baltimore City is.
Well, if you
Audubon might have named it before. I don't know.
interesting.
Yeah, the city might have been named after the bird. I could almost
Interesting.
switch over, but I don't have enough data.
Yeah, you'd have to do a little research.
Next week we'll talk about Cal Ripken and Baltimore Orioles instead of
What was Cal Ripken's position?
shortstop.
Shortstop.
Right, he and Brooks were right next to each other. For
I played third base for a hot second. You must have
Yeah.
been psyched about that.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah, following in your footsteps. I didn't last long.
Look at that glove work.
What's that?
Look at that glove work.
It's so funny.
Instead of having the fast hands, you were just doodling like a guitar the whole time.
Right.
Hope he can get it and flip it over
This
there.
is baseball.
Look at his fingers catch it.
I will never forget this one play where the ball, I was on third base, and the ball was cracked down the what's the line there called?
Foul line.
Foul line, and I might have told you all this story before, but I'll do it quick. I backhanded that thing, great glove work, bam! It was just such a fluid motion, like over the foul line. Perfect throw to first. And the thing that's remarkable to me is I remember that play like it's in slow motion. It was a foul ball. It didn't matter. It was meaningless. But the way my body moved to the ball, in fact, if it hadn't been a foul ball, I doubt I would have made such a beautiful play. I was always that way in tennis. If you served to me and it was a little bit out, I would always have a perfect return back because it didn't matter.
Right.
And that's when my grace kicks in. When I struggle with that as an artist. If the red light on record is on, if that ball is in play, or that tennis ball is I'm gonna not do that great. But if the record light isn't on, if it's a foul ball or the serve isn't in, I'm gonna be have one of the best swings you've ever seen.
It's like that Japanese art we were talking about. Stuff is more beautiful and realistic when it has a little bit of a smudge to it or a little bit of, oh, foul ball, what a beautiful play. Everybody else forgets it, but that's your special memory.
Yeah, I will never forget that moment. It's just the way
Well,
I felt
I
in my
think there's
body.
another word for it. It's called choking.
Right, I choke. Right, that's the other side of this equation. Yeah, famous choker. Yeah, from way back.
Now,
I've been
but
choking.
I'm going to say that in all fun because I've watched you perform 1,000 times, and I don't think I've ever seen you choke.
I appreciate that.
So when it comes down to it, you're more relaxed if the light's not on, but you can still do it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I don't think you knew. Here's another argument as a lawyer that I would say there's no way that you had the intelligence or the body understanding to know that it was a foul ball when you played it.
Right.
When you played it, you thought it was the light was on. So there you go. I rest my case.
Supposed to hustle after everything.
Exactly.
That's what the only time I ever saw Michael Jordan play live.
You saw him play live.
Yeah, we went up there.
It's bragging time.
Every ball, every whistle that blew, every loose ball, it didn't matter. He was the one that went and got it. I never noticed that on TV, but we were watching it, and I was with my brother. I said, "Look at him! Every foul, but the ball punches off the rim. He's the only guy like going towards the ball. Like he
was relentless.
Yeah.
He was such a
That's interesting. I
competitor.
like that. That's a good story.
Amazing ethic. Have you seen the documentary on Netflix about that final season of the Bulls?
Nah.
The Last Dance.
Yeah.
It is amazing. You will love it. You really have to watch it.
I will.
It's the best sports documentary I've ever seen.
There's no doubt about it.
Great.
It is,
I'll
it is-
have to watch it.
And I didn't even
Now
know
that
that
I've
full
finished
story.
Kunk on Earth.
Right.
What?
Nothing.
You can get sucked into that and be on there for hours at a time.
You will love this Last Dance, though. You have to watch it.
I will.
Now, what do you think?
Saul completely agrees. Last Dance is epic. Came out in 2020.
What do you think about Dennis Rodman on those Bulls teams now with like Putin and over there in
Kim
Korea?
Jong-un.
You think that's a smart move?
Wait, what's going on?
That's who he hangs out with now. He's always. I just saw he was hanging out with Putin somewhere. Oh, you don't know that he goes over like that?
I
That
knew they
Korean
went
guy,
to North
he goes,
Korea.
Yeah, he
a
goes over
bunch.
there and hangs out, and I was like, man, that's the best way. Maybe that's the way the world should be. Just send like a a guy that doesn't give a crap, can talk to anybody. He's not really there like they don't. I don't think they think he's trying to outwit them when he's talking to them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now that I think about it, maybe that is a good idea. It's just like, what is he talking to Putin
It's
about?
not going to do any good.
Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal
Oh,
hangs out.
there's another one.
Oh yeah, he gave up
feel
his
like
U.S.
that's a whole
He gave
nother-
up his U.S. citizenship, I think.
Oh, yeah, but I feel like that's a whole nother thing.
Steven Seagal. I forgot about
I feel
him.
like when it's Dennis Rodman, though, we don't have much to worry about.
Right.
Right.
He's so eclectic. It's just like, of course he's in North Korea.
Oh yeah, it's almost that's true. It's almost what else do you know?
All right, sorry, we digress. We were moving on to the bird.
Cedar waxwing.
Cedar waxwing.
This is an interesting name.
It's a very interesting name.
Cedar because of the tree. They eat the fruit of a cedar tree.
I didn't even know a cedar tree had fruit.
Yeah, they have these little purple little berries on them. But, well, they're not
Can we
really
eat them?
They're not very fruity. They look dry, but the birds like them. They make a berry. Junipers. In other words, the cedar waxwing feeds. He's a frugivore.
Frugivore.
I had never heard of one.
I've never heard of a
I had to
frugivore.
look it up. A frugivore is an animal that feeds mainly on sugar from pulpy fruits. They're fruitarians. and
Is that for sugar? Sugar.
sugar. They have a way of surviving on that diet, which is they do eat pollen, which is high in protein, which I didn't know. They also eat some insects and flowers. That's their diet.
Frugivore.
Now, the cedar waxwing you may have never seen, and you probably have never seen one of them because they travel in small flocks. And we only see them here in Virginia when they're moving through, and they breed in the spring in eastern part of Canada, up in the woodlands up there. So they go up there to breed, and then they come back down. So we catch them, little flocks will come through in the spring and the fall on their way up and back. So that's
Where do they spend their winters?
southern part of the United States, Florida, Georgia, but mainly, well, not mainly, but down there and into Central and South America. They'll cross the ocean, the Gulf too.
So why does it qualify for a Stanton bird?
Well, they're common enough half the year. I mean, you do see them. They don't come to feeders very much, but if they come, they'll come as a group. Where you'll see them is in fruit
Oh,
trees.
look at them.
They're a beautiful little bird. Have the same shape as a cardinal.
It's got the little thing on
But
its
they
head.
got the-
Oh, look at them.
Sunglasses.
Yeah, they look like a cardinal, but they're smaller, but half the size, and they're not. They don't have the red. They're brown, and they have yellow on their wings and some different colors, and they're a very beautiful bird.
That is a beautiful bird. A little orange on their wing.
Right.
If people, just so you know, as he's describing this in perfect eloquence, the pictures are almost lining up with it.
Yeah,
It's got yellow on
this
its
is-
wing. He's not even looking at the video.
We've next leveled this.
Wow. And the waxwing comes from the tips of the wings that look waxy, so they shine.
It's that little orange tip or whatever.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. So that's,
Wax wing.
yeah, and they come through. They're interesting socially. I was fascinated. They sound like the most civilized of birds.
They
travel-
sound like the most civilized
They're
of birds.
very civilized. If you say that we're civilized, they breed. You know, the male helps with the nesting. He helps them feed the one. The male and the female will give each other presents, and they'll kiss each other. They'll rub
What do you
bills.
mean they'll give each other presents?
They'll actually, the male or the female, one of them will grab a flower or something and come over and give it to the other one.
No.
Come
Yeah.
on. He's just making stuff up.
Yeah, I Googled it, so there you go.
No, you're seriously being.
Yeah, they'll give them food or something, some pollen, stick of pollen or something.
I got a lot
don't
to
know.
learn.
I mean, just like a soldier buying candy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I'm reading a novel.
I know the feeling.
Yeah,
It just permeates.
yeah. So they travel in small flocks, and they'll get it. They can be bad on the fruit trees, but they tend to not eat, large fruits. They're a small bird, so they like service berries and different holly. Seen them in holly
What's
trees.
a service berry?
That's a tree I have planted in the house. It's a native tree.
Oh, it's a kind of tree.
It's a
that's
kind
service?
of service berry is the name of it. And I bought one and planted it in the yard, and the birds like it, but I've never seen cedar waxwings in there. But I have seen them out in the country. A flock of them are fairly common if you have like holly trees or different fruit trees. They'll come every year, and you'll see them in the spring and in the fall. So lots of people have seen them. I don't know. What else do you need to know about a?
Are there any other birds that are called waxwings that are not
It's a
cedar?
family of waxwings.
Is waxwing a kind of
So
bird?
the only one around here is the cedar waxwing.
But there's other.
But there's
waxwing.
others in that class, in that family.
What's another
Europe.
example name-wise?
Well,
Do you-
there are just different Bohemian waxwing.
There's a
is one.
Bohemian waxwing.
There is a Bohemian
We have a
waxwing.
band name. We have to start a band now.
Yeah,
We have to start a band.
Bohemian waxwing.
Yeah.
I think
Friday
I
night
don't.
ciders from Mars.
I didn't read that today, so I might have made that up, but I think it's true. But that's the only one that comes to mind. There might be a Bohemian waxwing. If not, I made up a good band name. What else can I say about them? They nest up in Canada, and they build a nice little nest. They could have 2 broods, but probably just 1, 5 to 6 eggs, a couple weeks.
I just
sitting
thought
there.
it looked like a lot of eggs in that nest
Yeah,
that he was showing.
5 or 6 eggs, I think. But they take socially. They're very social. They like to travel together in flocks. They don't,
But it's a small flock, you said.
right. Not the, It's not, a lot of birds flock up when they fly south. So they fly in those great big numbers that you see going over you. These are just little groups that they're together all year. So they don't just
How about all their lives?
probably the same family.
Little.
It's probably just children of of one group, one tribe.
Wow.
So it's probably pretty distinct family there. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're having five children in a nest or whatever, that's a pretty quickly growing.
Well, you got to realize there's a lot of turnover.
Right.
There's a lot of things eating birds, other birds, and the raccoons and things. So it's not a time you don't live that long, really. So, but they're doing well. They're not in
Does it
danger
sing?
or anything.
Does it have a song? Does it have a song?
Not much. They twitter a lot. They do twitter to each other, so they talk to each other a lot. But it's a twitter. It's not a. I don't think they have much of a song per se. They try to. They go back to what I was saying about feeding each other. The male tries to attract the female by giving her things and looking good, but not.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. But not by singing the song. They do a little dance. I don't know if it's a neutron dance, but they do a little dance.
Is there a bird that has a noticeably more complex communication, like language almost, than? Because I know that they say, like, they do this to attract a mate or like maybe to warn of danger. Is that about it?
Well, I'm irritated all day when I'm up in my room because I have the window open and I hear the crows talking. The crows will talk all day. I mean,
You think they're saying some more complex, expressing
yeah,
more complex?
yeah, there's a call, not a call, a call. Call. There's a call, and there's a call. I'm trying because I can't say I'm Southern. They all sound the same.
Right.
Call. Their call is different sequences of things. It's saying one thing over and over again, like there's nobody here or there's food over here. But when they start going squawking stuff, then that's what I'm hearing. They're just going around. They're looking for food, looking for action, looking for a cat to bother, looking for an owl to bother with. So they're busy, but they're talking all the time, and they know what they're saying. I don't.
Yeah, I hear them all. They're outside on my lines
Yeah,
all the time.
they're all over the place today. Talking.
And that's a beautiful word for some reason, serviceberry. That sounds like Faulkner or something, like USB free. And they went up the old trail past the serviceberries. I never heard that term before.
It's the name of a tree, and it's a native tree.
I wonder why it got its name.
Oh gosh, Rick Cook told me one night, he said something to do with the fact that, I can't remember how he told me. It was about the Army and during the war or something, that there was something that they were doing with it. But
Oh, so the berries, I'm aware the berry, the whole tree is called.
the tree is called the serviceberry,
Oh, okay.
and I guess the berries are service berries. Yeah, that's its name.
We did it again, guys.
So we done it.
Episode 40.
I wanted to talk about some of your songs too.
Oh yeah, it keeps going.
Yeah.
There's some great new covers in the player on nathansland.com. Trying to remember what's new since Chances Are was a fun challenge. I'll tell you what. Dad asked for Chances Are because that was his mom, my Nana's favorite song, or one of her favorite songs. Johnny Mathis was the version. I don't know who wrote it, but that was the famous version. Chances are. I'm not gonna do this as the leaving song, but the funny story was when you first texted me "Chances Are" by Johnny Mathis for Nana. My heart sunk a little bit because I tried to learn that song for her years ago, and it was just too complicated. Every version I found online was just so many chords, jazzy chords, a bunch of chord names I didn't know, and I just couldn't get my brain around it. And so when you asked for that, I was like, oh no, I've already tried and failed this. And I almost was there again, was about to text you and just be like, that's a tough one. I just don't even think I can do it. And I Googled it, and every version had all these chords, and they were weird chords, and I couldn't hear it in my head. I couldn't figure it out. And I even went on YouTube, which has been an amazing resource, and tried to find like an easy version. And I watched like 5 different people teaching Chances Are, and they were all these like jazz dudes being like, I'm like, it just hurts my brain thinking about it. I was about to give up when I see this one more video down there. It was this guy that only had like 100 views. Had been on there for 10 years or whatever. this, and I'm like, well, I'll just click on it. I click on it, and it's this older gentleman standing in the foyer of his very nice house, singing the most rudimentary version of Chances Are you'd ever want to hear. And I'm just sitting there watching him play this. And I'm like, there it is. There's the easy version of this song, and he's now a hero of mine. Because bless his soul, you know, he decided I'm going to record me singing this song and stick it on YouTube. And here, 10 years later, he's my hero. Chances are, because I wear a silly grin the moment you come into view. Chances are you think that I'm in love with you. Just because my composure seems to slip the moment your lips meet mine. Chances are you think my heart's your Valentine. In the magic of moonlight, when I sigh, hold me close, dear. Chances are you believe the stars that fill the skies are in my eyes. Guess you think you'll always be the only one and only one for me. And if you think you could, well, chances are your chances are awfully good. Maybe that is the leaving song.
That's wonderful.
But I do want to say, just to give people something to look forward to, the 2 huge things that have happened on the musical home front is I bought lighter strings for this guitar, and it was the final piece of the puzzle of unleashing this beast.
Wow.
Even Lex, when he played it, because it just still felt stiff. And I thought that getting lighter strings was going to feel sort of flimsy and jangly and just not be substantial enough. But I put these on, and it's not nearly as flimsy as I thought it would be, and it is so easy to play now. So not only does it
nice
sound good, but it's just
It's
so
comfy.
easy to play that it's unlocking all kinds of possibilities I hadn't even considered.
Wow.
And just yesterday, this sort of exciting thing happened in my world, in that Facebook algorithms did something right, because all of a sudden, I passed it like 3 times over the last few days. It was a gypsy jazz instructional course that was being advertised on, and it just kept showing it to me. And I would click on it and listen to it. I've always loved gypsy jazz. I've always loved that Django Reinhardt vibe and any music that sounds like that. But I never played it, and it always just seemed like Chances Are, it's like, oh, that's too hard for me. I'll just appreciate it. But I click on the link. I'm like, all right, I'm going to click on this. $11 for this course. So I click on to go to the website, and I'm reading about it. And I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Oh, they do take PayPal. But then I was like, well, first, let me go to YouTube and just type in Gypsy Jazz Lessons. And so I figured I'd go for the free version first. And if I really took to it, well, long story longer. I go to YouTube, type in Gypsy Jazz Lessons, and so last night I took my first lessons in Gypsy Jazz guitar playing.
Oh.
And I feel like by next week I'm going to be ready to lay some Gypsy Jazz stuff on you.
I don't know that term. I've never heard Gypsy Jazz.
You would recognize it as a style of music if you heard it.
I'm going to go Google it.
And it's funny because I've always loved Gypsy Jazz a lot. And I've written a lot of songs that are sort of in the Gypsy Jazz vein, but I never studied what it actually was. And it's, like with most genres of music, a lot of it comes down to very basic rhythms or melodic tools that they use. Like a samba is a rhythm, a bossa is a rhythm, jazz has these different chords they use, and there's always a way to mathematically explain what defines that genre.
Wow.
So Gypsy Jazz, here's a really quick lesson. It's all downstrokes with accents on the 2 and 4. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's all downstrokes. And then when you speed it up, it's like...
Woody Allen movies.
Yeah, I mean, once you hear you'll be like, oh yeah, I know that kind of music. It's sort of like the Riviera bluegrass, because bluegrass is very similar. It's like, but it's not all downstrokes. So
A lot of minor stuff in Gypsy Jazz too.
a lot of minor chords. I mean, it is so up my alley. And I realized, I look back on my repertoire, and I've been writing Gypsy Jazz songs for years, but not applying the principles of Gypsy
Well,
Jazz
I want to
music.
hear an example of that sometime.
I feel like by next Thursday I'll be ready. And in fact, I took the very first lesson that I learned on YouTube, and just like I've told you before, like the reason it's hard for me to learn is because I'll learn a new scale, and I'll try to practice the scale, and within 5 minutes I've turned that scale into a song. And that happened to me last night. I was trying to practice the progression, and 20 minutes later I'd written a whole song that I basically stole from this practice progression that the guy gave me.
Wow.
It was this progression. I was standing in a box, confessing all the things that were on my mind. The saddest part was the blessing. Can't you see, even though you're blind, as the last of the living, I was wild and free. I'd be lying if I didn't have misgivings, all up to me. That head over the fence was a wise one, saw things in me I've not yet become. He said, keep your eyes on the horizon, there you can stare right into the sun. I was the last of the living, I was wild and free. I'd be lying if I didn't have misgivings, all up to me. I heard church bells ringing, angels singing, they were calling me home. But I had to cast my line a few more times into the stream. when in Rome, all alone. I was the last of the living. I was wild and free. I'd be lying if I didn't have misgivings. It's all up to me. All up to me. My first Gypsy Jazz original.
That's great. I love it. It sounds like all the Gypsy
What was the
Jazzes
little part
could be
of-
leaving songs.
That's exactly right.
What was the line before "When in Rome, all alone"?
Oh, I had to. I heard.
something about
I heard
cast-
church bells ringing, angels singing, all calling me home. But I had to cast my line a few more times into the stream. When in Rome, all alone.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's real good.
Very good.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lex. Thank you, everybody,
Hey,
for
thank you,
watching.
Lex.
We'll
Take
see you
care,
next
people.
time. Jabberjohn signing off.
Bye.
I got another one that I'm writing. I wrote two last night. You're gonna like the other one. I actually started it.
So are we over now?
Yeah, we're off. Well, the outro's happening. It's like a flag on the field from far away. I hear an old man yell, "Hey, let him play!" That's how it starts. Isn't that a great opening? Flag on the field from far away.